Hello everybody, Janie Goddard here, President of the Complementary Medical Association. Now today I'm joined in our interview series by none other than a lady very dear to our hearts, Tricia Woolfrey. Tricia, thank you so much for being with me today. It's absolutely lovely to have you here. It's a real honour to be able to chat with you like this. Can you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your work, if you don't mind?
Okay, so I work as an integrative coach and therapist, working with people either in the corporate world or private practice as well. I'm based in Surrey and in Harley Street, and also, of course, on Zoom now. So I've been doing a lot of work online.
Absolutely fantastic. So can you tell us a little bit about your work and how you actually got into it?
Yeah, so the way into it, I never thought I would be doing this work, but when I was in the corporate world, and my last role was a global HR director, which I loved, I had been doing some training in neurolinguistic programming, which I also loved. And part of that was learning about hypnotic language, which I found fascinating.
Yes.
And I decided that I would really like to explore this more. And I signed up for a hypnotherapy and psychotherapy 2-year course. And basically that was over 20 years ago now, and I've not stopped learning ever since then. So my practice has really broadened over the years. So I didn't fall into it, but I kind of evolved into it.
That's really interesting. So when you say your practice evolved, I mean, how has that evolution kind of expressed itself?
Well, so first of all, of course, I was a hypnotherapist, and but I'm somebody, I've got a voracious appetite for learning. So I'm always quite curious about this, that, and the other. So I kind of just wanted to learn different techniques that came to my attention. And so I'm uber qualified in lots of things. And for example, I do eye movement desensitization reprocessing, which is great for trauma. I use energy psychology a lot, which I often teach to my clients as a way for them to look after themselves. I became a nutritionist about 12 years ago because I realized that sometimes people are stuck not just because of their mind, but their mind is stuck because of their biology of their body, so to speak. So I became a nutritionist as well. So it's kind of just learning different things and eventually integrating them all so that it's a whole package. And I've developed what I call my 5-dimensional my 5 pillars approach to helping people.
Right, that sounds absolutely fantastic. So is that what you would actually call an integrative approach? I know that you've mentioned that in the past. So perhaps you could speak to that a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean quite a few things by that. So first of all, it's integrating mind and body. So realizing in all of the studying that I've been doing over the years that people are a lot more complex than we like to think they are. We're more complex than we like to think we are as well. So looking at the person as a whole. So that's one element. Also integrating a whole range of techniques. So at first it was only hypnotherapy, but now it's looking at what do I think would be best for this person where they are, and what do I think they would respond to in the best way possible. So I kind of blend my approach according to the individual. And the other thing is integrating the selves. So we can feel a little bit, how can I say, we can have a part of us that it feels this way about something and a part of us that feels the opposite. So for example, somebody wanting to lose weight is quite a common one. They definitely want to lose a lot of weight and they keep reaching for the biscuit tin. So that's like 2 parts that are in conflict. And so part of the work that I do is integrating those parts so that all the needs are met in a way that is internally harmonious rather than an internal battle. So it kind of means a lot of things. And of course, across the 5 pillars as well.
That sounds fantastic. So, tell me a little bit about what somebody might expect to happen when they come to see you. How do you actually work initially with your clients?
Okay, so there's a few ways that I work, but the most conventional is that somebody will see me for a series of sessions. And so what I do is the first session is always a bit longer, and I have a very, very thorough consultation process where I ask about, so no matter what they come to see me about, I will ask a whole range of questions about them and their lives, they might think, well, this doesn't seem to be to do with what I'm here for, but actually some of the time it's very much to do with what they've come to see me for, but they're not aware of the way that a problem arises and how it might manifest in their lives. So I'm getting a lot of information also as they're talking to me, because I have thought about sending them a form and getting them to fill it in to make it quicker, but there's so much I get from hearing their answers, their tone of voice, their body language, and so on, that I still stick with my very thorough consultation process. And at the end of that, so in the beginning, I have in mind what they're here for. At the end of it, I say, okay, so given that and what you've come to see me for, what are the goals that you want us to work on? Because sometimes they get insights that actually the problem that they're talking about, they've come to see me for, is just kind of a symptom. It's not really the cause. So I like to work on the cause. So we come up with a list of outcomes that they're working towards, which then creates the foundation for our work together.
That sounds absolutely superb. Very, very thorough. It certainly reminds me of the way that we take cases in homeopathic medicine. Very, very thorough. And a lot of the time the clients get slightly not confused, because you obviously brief them, you tell them, explain why you're questioning them in this particular way, in this very in-depth way, and I find that the beauty of it is very often it's the first time that a person's ever had the chance to actually sit and tell their story.
Absolutely.
That's something you find, Tricia?
Yeah, absolutely. And often that first session is a lot of therapy on its own, because they've kept so much inside, and the process of talking actually helps them to reveal to themselves even what really is going on, which often is not what they think. So I like to think of myself as a kind of psychological detective. I like to ask, what is really going on here? This is what the client thinks, and that might be true, but what is it really? And often it's different to their initial perceptions, and it's very, very insightful.
Yes, that's absolutely fantastic. Very, very healing as well. To really be deeply heard like that is incredibly healing for people.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful thing that you're doing there. So obviously things have been really strange over the last year or so, because of lockdown and so on. Has that actually impacted your practice at all, Tricia?
Yeah, well, it has meant I've obviously had to get used to videos and going online, which I wasn't very comfortable with. So I've done a lot of that, and actually I'm quite comfortable with it now. It's not always useful for the client if they're in an environment that they can't talk openly because they might be overheard, or they've got a problem with the person they're living with. And so I've developed what I call my walk and talk sessions. So I can be on the end of a phone making my notes, because I remember a lot about people when I write. But also they're outside in nature, walking and talking. So that's something that I've done, which has proved quite popular with some people, not everybody. And the other thing I've noticed is that the depth of problem is more profound. And that's because I think this kind of situation that we're in, where we're kind of locked in our minds as well. So people kind of have no hiding place. So they're kind of mulling over things quite a lot. So the problems tend to be quite intense. I've also noticed a lot of people are drinking a lot more. Eating disorders have got out of control. So what I call the too muching behaviors have become out of control, because those too muching behaviors are their way of coping. But it's not really a coping mechanism, it's just a distraction. So, that's part of the discovery, finding out what they're doing to manage themselves and kind of teaching them different ways of doing that.
Yes, that's amazing. I love the idea of the walk and talk. I think that's very smart and very, very helpful, because there's so much that's been happening. The dynamics, the family dynamics, the relationship dynamics, and so on have really been impacted, haven't they, by lockdown? And so giving people the opportunity to actually get outside and do this is just amazing. So hats off to you, Tricia. That's a beautiful thing that you're doing there. So absolutely fantastic. So Finally, what we'll do is just make sure that people know how they can get hold of you. So can you tell us a little bit about your contact details, and also everybody, for example, if you're watching this on YouTube, this video is going to be on various different places, but for example, if you're on YouTube, by the side of the video at the bottom right hand corner, there's a little down arrow. And if you click on that, you'll see the show notes. They'll drop, that'll open up for you, and you'll be able to see all of Tricia's contact details there as well, and a little bit more about the work that she does. But Tricia, please could you just give people, if they're listening and want to actually know how to make contact with you, how would they go about doing that?
Okay, easiest way is by telephone, 0345 130 0854. Also email is, excuse me, Tricia at triciawoolfrey.com, and Tricia is Tricia, Woolfrey is WOO L for Lima, F for Freddy, REY, and my website is yourimpoweredself.co.uk. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn.
Great. Oh, that's absolutely fantastic. Thank you so much. Trish, you've been amazing. It's been a fantastic session here. I'm so glad that you've shared so generously about the work that you do. I think it is obviously, really supporting people and changing lives. So proud to have you with us, and can't wait to do more of these interviews with you in the future. Thank you so very much.
Thank you so much, Jenny.
All the best. Thank you.
Bye-bye.